Education planning is very important. It can be a very large expense. Before we even plan for the cost of education, I think conversations need to be had by parents, grandparents about the payment source. What are people's beliefs and values around education spending? And then how can we kind of meet in the middle and create a plan from there? So can you talk about the two most common education savings vehicles? We have 529 plans and UTMA accounts that are typically used, and how are they similar? How are they different?
They both have the same annual contribution amount as the gift tax exemption. So it's going to be $17,000 for single filers and $34,000 for joint filers. There are quite a few differences. So a 529 can be used only really for education purposes, but an UTMA is used for anything that benefits the minors. And then the 529 is treated as an asset of the parent, regardless of the child's age. But the UTMA is considered an asset of the child. So it'll be under the child's control. It'll transfer to the child between the ages of 18 and 25, depending on what state you live in. The 529 has less investment options than the UTMA. So in UTMA, you can include even tangible assets or property in it if you want, but a 529 is limited to mostly mutual funds. The 529 also allows you to change the beneficiary if the current beneficiary on it doesn't plan to use all of the funds.
Several years ago, they made a new rule too for 529s that you can use $10,000 a year for K through 12 private education as well. So if you don't use it on school related items or services, and you just cash out a 529, you're paying taxes on the growth plus a penalty. Let's dive in a little deeper. One of your kids decides not to go to college, or like you said, maybe they receive a ton of scholarships, so they're left sitting with a pot of money in a 529 plan. What can they do with those assets?
Like I mentioned earlier, you can change the beneficiary to another child that will use those funds, or you can convert it to a Roth. You can contribute the annual max from the 529 to the Roth. There are a couple caveats to that, though. The 529 needs to be owned for at least 15 years, and contributions made to the 529 in the last 5 years are ineligible for tax-free Roth contribution.
So it's always great to talk with your advisor and just see if there are any strategies out there to help you continue to save that money tax-free or at least penalty-free. Lastly, let's talk about the FAFSA, because that's always a question. Whose income and what assets are included in the calculations?
So FAFSA, it stands for Free Application for Federal Student Aid. The calculation, so the financial need is going to equal the cost of the attendance for you to attend that school, and then you subtract the expected family contribution, or the EFC. The EFC is based on your family's taxed and untaxed income, their assets, and benefits such as unemployment or Social Security. It's also based on your family's size and the number of family members who plan to attend college during that year. So all of those will contribute. Since 529s are not considered an asset of the child, a smaller portion of that will be counted towards your EFC. Because an UTMA is considered an asset of the child, a larger portion of that will be included in the EFC. So it will decrease your amount of aid you'll get. And then lastly, a 529 owned by grandparents or family members, like anyone other than the parents, will not affect the amount of aid you get from your FAFSA.
That's a new rule actually starting in 2024, which is, I think, a great benefit. Before, the asset itself was not considered, but any distributions from those 529s were considered. But starting in 2024, it's going to be completely excluded. So that's great.